BTC still trading at 84K. It feels like I'm saying this every single day. So it's all about the alts, though. Are we about to walk into a massive retail trap here with these altcoins and BTC? There's a big trend line everybody is watching at the moment. And are we going to get absolutely caned? So we're looking at that today. I'm going to give you my trading plan behind that. I'm going to show you some incredible zones here on BTC that we're going to be watching. And then I've got updates on loads of altcoin setups for you, longs and shorts coming in hot. Let's get right into it. This comment, I hate dead cats. Where's that comment? I hate dead cats, especially when they start bouncing. And where's that comment, James? Well, guys, remember, while we're waiting, there it is, Jason. I hate dead cats, especially when they bounce. Guys, remember, hit that like, hit the bell, and hit the subscribe. I do this thing every single day for you here on Banter Plus. And obviously, if you're enjoying it, you know what to do. James is in the house with us, bringing some macro spice and things like that. Probably some bear vibes as well. I've got a great meme for you just now. I've got a banger. I got a banger. Okay, Banter Bubbles, here we go. So OM, the current scam that everybody is talking about, or isn't a scam, we're going to cover this one a little bit later in the show, and that is now bouncing 41%. I'm assuming it's some kind of squeeze. Who knows? Maybe fundamentally they're sorting it out. It's something remains to be seen. IP, very cute next to that as well. Is part of my scam production today. We got OM and IP. We're talking about both of those together. A little bit of I don't know, sort of darker arts going on in the back there. I'm not sure what's happening with those two, but the rest is pretty red. And if you guys are feeling it, I'm feeling it too. So it's been super choppy, and the market is not giving us clear direction at the moment. So if you're trading leverage, you're probably feeling a little bit frustrated. You're getting a little bit up, a little bit down, a little bit up, a little bit down, chop here, chop there. And look, it's happening. This is the game we need to play now. We need to actually be patient. And I've actually been trying to scalp a bit today, and I've actually just got irritated. It's we're just wasting money here waiting for the big move. So I'm going to tee you up with the proper setups that you guys are going to need, and I'm going to give you the big zones here today. Okay, so let's jump into BTC. Let's see what is going down at the moment. So this is our BTC 4-hour that I'm now tracking today. I've just compressed it a little bit for you guys to give you a nice picture as to what we are essentially looking at. So earlier today, about an hour and a half ago in the US Open, we saw a quick liquidity grab there, 86,400. That was part of our 24-hour liquidation heat map that I dropped in Hackers earlier today. So we pretty much cleaned out the near-term liquidity there at 86,400. Now you can see we are rolling over a little bit, and a couple of levels we want to watch to the downside. That is going to be 83,600 down to 83,200. That's a nice zone for me. Then a little bit lower down, I've got 81,900 that we're going to watch. And there's actually some very nice tie in here. I've got trend, I've got VWAP, I've got 382. So that's actually looking very nice to me in terms of a possible bounce zone. But then in terms of our oscillators, a little bit bearish still. Okay, it's not the end of the world, because we can see this 4-hour can travel on the upside for a while, and it can obviously break out and do those things. But it is starting to reverse a little bit. So those are the key downside levels I would say that we need to pay attention to, leading into tomorrow. A little bit lower down, obviously the king here, the 618, 79K. Just keep your eyes on that. Mark that one on your charts. Maybe have an alarm on as an emergency if it does go down there. Now, interestingly for me, we have come so far up here on BTC, and it would be very strange for me if they didn't come and take out this upper band here. After all this work here for the market makers, for me, it's very strange that they're not coming to take out the 200-day MA liquidity or the VWAP that's sitting there, or this wick and the horizontals. It's a massive zone for us, and it's almost so big that it's becoming a very popular level. And you're going to see this one all over the place now, this 88, 89K zone. There's going to be a lot of talk about it. And look, there might be a sprinkling of too many shorts in this area, and we don't want to get too deep into that, but I'm going to talk about that on the next chart I have for you. So in terms of liquidity zones, this is still my preferred area for the market makers to hit. So 88, 89 making sense to me. Then let's look at our 24-hour heat map. You can see the 24-hour also showing us a little bit of confusion at the moment. So we've got upside here at 86, 87. You can see it's nice and juicy. One more tap there could be good. And then to the downside here, I've got 84. But the big one that I've been watching is the 1 month. And this is really giving us the picture here as to where the big source is. And look at this, 88 to 89K. Look at that beautiful band there on the upside. And wouldn't that be nice for the market makers to come up and grab it? Zen says they're saving it for later. Is she talking about the liquidity up there? It probably is. Look, I think it will be a nice ride there for the market makers. And that is obviously going to lead us into our big trap that we are talking about. Now, before I get into the trap chart, I just want to see your sentiment here. So 61% of you, I'm running a poll here, so please answer the poll for me. No ways, okay? Are you buying this trend break? 61% are not that keen, okay? That's interesting. Yes, sir, pump is on, says 39%. Okay, so 61% basically saying any pump here is going to be some kind of bear trap. I'm leaning in that direction because of the current tariff situation. We don't have the clarity yet. The market is pricing in clarity at the moment, and now you can see things are stalling a little bit, just like the tariff negotiations. So let's jump into the news and let's try and make sense of what is going on. So 24-hour rect, only 174. James, this is rookie numbers again. So we saw it's disgusting. It's only 170. But I must say, about an hour ago, it was on 200. So I'm not sure what has changed. Maybe the guys have stopped trading here while they're waiting for things to happen. And just a reminder, those of you that are grinding this out, and Louis says shorting the bollocks off this. Okay. Well, I might have a short for you guys. And I gave it a short earlier, and I think James is on it too. We've taken a Brett short at a resistance zone. So we are going to give you that chart in a little bit more detail. So stick around, but we are short Brett at the moment. So Naive says, ex-girlfriend's going to the moon to find you when Bitcoin hits 300K. This is exactly what is going to happen, guys. So just brace yourselves. If you're doing the work now, you're going to earn this, okay?
Got it? 1, 2, 3. Take up space!
Take up space!
Come here.
See, they're coming for you. They're coming for you. They're going to find us on the moon there, James. They're coming for us. But we're going to defend. We're going to block them.
I gotcha.
I saw a tweet about this saying that because this cost Bezos $50 million. And it said Jeff Bezos pays $50 million to get a 90-minute break from his wife.
Oh, the moon. You guys, I don't have to tell you. Look at the moon.
Did his wife go on you? Was his wife there with her?
His wife's on there. Yeah.
Wow, look at the blue line.
Well, look, wonderful trip to the moon, ladies. Good value. I think good value. Nice trip. We all saw the video, the landing video as well. Looked a bit scary. Let's talk about what is going on in the market at the moment. So Fed Chair Powell, his term ends in 13 months' time. Okay, that's interesting. And they're already trying to look at new candidates to take his place. The Trump administration knows economic weakness is coming from the tariffs in 25. I think that's fair to say. That's a fair statement. And this sets up perfectly for 26 to be a year of interest rate cuts and economic stimulus. So where does that leave us now? The pain train for another 7-8 months here, James. I mean, I don't like the sound of that, but unfortunately, this is what we could be facing. Good morning, sir. Preparing for war is in the house. And this is interesting. This is not a good sign. 30-year mortgage rate has soared back to 7.5%. Highest level since January. James is nodding furiously in the back there. It's not a good look for the economy. Yeah, that's not a good start to things at the moment. And then in terms of a couple of other things, Bessent reveals that he has breakfast with Powell every week, and also reveals that if the Fed does nothing, the Treasury has a big toolkit and could up the Treasury buybacks, okay, to prop up Treasury. So
did I not tell you these guys are all friends? They have this act they put on that they're fighting on the news and everything. They're having friggin' breakfast together. All this is BS. This is all coordinated. They've got a plan. Tinfoil's on. I knew this long before this was ever admitted.
So there you go. They all friends, guys. Remember, there's a big show going on for everybody there in the front, and they all play golf together, and they do what they need to do. Okay, so it's like watching WWE, basically.
That's right. It's exactly what it is. This is entertainment for us peasants.
Okay, so there we go. There's the latest news that they're going to make a plan if they need to. Okay, so I don't know what that's going to do long term, but it could do a couple of things. So Spencer Hakiman says, The fact that the White House hasn't announced any trade deals yet, even with allies, where very easy trade deals could be announced, really shows how little progress the US is making on this topic. Okay, is this backfiring here? Japan and South Korea, for example, Japan already has a lower effective tariff rate on us than we have on them. The White House could just re-announce that as some ceremonial victory. Okay, I haven't done that. South Korea, the second largest buyer of our LNG per capita in the world, the White House could just re-announce that and pretend they found us a whole new consumer of our energy. The fact that that hasn't happened so far suggests that concessions being offered by the rest of the world are so minuscule that the White House needs to save this ceremonial win to announce them later on, okay, as the public grows restless. Now, we can see that in the markets, but what we also noticed is the last time we had mega pumps in the S&P, we did have sideways. I think, James, it was for a week or so while everything digested. So let's be fair. Let's give it some time to settle a little bit. I don't think it's unreasonable that the market is now going sideways while it waits for the next move. And now this is good. I mean, the handbags across the ocean. China is now canceling its beef purchases from the United States and choosing to purchase them from Australia. That's good for us. Not very good for the Americans, I don't think. And that's obviously not going to, it's not going to make the ranchers very happy there. So that is another contagion there. And then China says it will only engage in trade talks with the US if its leaders show respect for Beijing. And I think, to be fair, the Chinese are big on respect, and Uncle Donald hasn't been very respectful. So I think James nodding in the back there. He loves the shit. you love the tariff talk, bro.
The drama all day long.
I'm so sick of talking about Trump and Z. It's like I've had enough.
We get back to trading already and get past this shit, man.
Okay, shitcoin's coming in hot, guys. Shitcoin's coming in hot. Okay, now last one. Okay. Hate to sound like a broken record, but people do not realize how severe this is. Now, I touched on this yesterday, okay? The Chinese are stopping doing the refinery of the rare earth minerals. Now, we know America mines them, but they send them to China to be refined and things like that. China's now refusing to do that. Now, this obviously affects a lot of things. China has 95% of the world's refining capacity, and they're not exporting any of it anymore. It would take the US 5 to 10 years at a minimum to open their own refineries. Okay, so financial markets are calm about this for now because companies have enough inventory to last a quarter or two. Okay, so if China doesn't reverse, what's the long-term effect? Okay, enough tariff drama. It's not looking good out there, guys. Okay, that's the bottom line. It's not looking good. S&P right now looking a bit flat. So, we've had a beautiful pump. We did say most likely some sideways action for a week or two. So we could easily just see a little bit of this and then some more action to the upside or downside, depending on what the next headline is going to be. So a little bit of patience here. There's not much action at the moment. And I'm talking longs and shorts. Unless you're on absolute degen trying to scalp a couple of % here or there, you need to be patient for your next big move. Now, one of the big moves that I've been looking for, and it might now backfire if this tariff stuff doesn't sort itself out, but I'm shorting gold, as you guys know, at the moment, and for multiple reasons on the chart, and obviously because it felt like the macro situation was going to be changing. But now, if things are not going to come out just right, we might have a little bit more upside on gold. But what Miles is saying here, he says gold has been far the top performer this year. Look at that. Gold is 21.4% up so far this year. Bitcoin is down 11.6%. Silver is even up 8%. And the rest all looks like shitcoins at the moment. Okay, so gold has definitely been the outperformer. And who would have thought? Who would have thought old boring gold coming there to dominate everything? So just in terms of my position and my thought process on this whole thing, I'm still looking for the reversal. I think it was on the daily and the 3-day. This thing was getting pretty exhausted, and there we've got some divergence prints there on the 3-day, and things are starting to push higher, but we are looking for some kind of reversal here on gold. So I'm still planning for this, and that is why I'm sitting in that existing short position that I took on LBank. Okay, so remember, you can trade gold on LBank by simply trading PAXG. Okay, so if you want to do that, just sign up in that link in the show description, and I'm going to cover some more LBank for you guys in a sec as well. And then let's take a look at the dollar index. So the dollar index is actually in a bounce zone. So this is quite interesting. So dollar, I mean, we tracked this last week and following just simple basic TA 618 bounce. And in theory, this dollar rising should be not so good for the other markets like the stocks and crypto and things like that. So we're going to monitor this closely. This thing is turning green. And if this does give a bit of a run, you're probably going to be seeing a little bit of downside on the markets in theory. Now, remember, everything has been a little bit mumbled and jumbled over the last while with the tariffs entering the room and all these things going on. So typical responses to certain charts haven't exactly played out as per normal, but that is essentially what we typically look for now on a bouncing Dixie. You'd probably look for the stock market to take a breather and maybe start rolling over a little bit there. So eyes on the Dixie, that is something we want to pay attention to. And here we go. Is this the biggest retail trap breakout in history? Here is Mark Dutch is back. Hello, sir. Haven't seen you in a long time. Mark Dutch, come to Hackers, boss. Come join us there in Chart Hackers. Bitcoin on the daily. This is what my poll is about. Are you guys tracking the daily trend? Are you looking for a trend break? Is this going to be the biggest retail trap in history? So remember the deal. I mean, in perfect conditions and in super bullish conditions, you get these trend breaks and things obviously start cooking. But in similar or choppy conditions, what you're typically going to get is the market makers playing games. And the easiest way to trap guys is to catch them on horizontal breakouts and trend breakouts and basically give you some kind of fake out and a reversal. So what I want to point out here is if you guys are looking to trade this breakout, obviously there's a chance this thing rips. Okay, you can see there's a breakout here. But what I want to suggest for you guys is before you start getting super excited, okay, if you're going to trade a breakout, remember the rules. If this thing blows this trend, you're probably going to get a rejection at some kind of horizontal, and you're going to have to really just be patient there and wait for that retest. If you want to keep things safe, if you want to really manage your risk as best as you can, you don't want to ape in full clips on breakouts here, because this could be a proper trap for you guys, and this could be the one that sends us back down to these types of levels. I'm talking 73 to 69K on BTC. Let's not lose sight of our weekly chart. So very easy to look at this and say, here's the daily, this is the trend break we want. If you're going to play this game, guys, big rejection zone, just looking at this chart with no other indicators on, 88 to 89, doesn't that make sense? Then a nice rejection, and that could be the rejection that ends you. So make sure that if you're going to do the bulk of your buying, it's not when you're buying that breakout, it's going to be on any dips back. You got to make sure that those bulls are going to be stepping in, because what happens if the bulls don't step in and they leave you standing with your undies around your ankles while they dump this thing lower down? Now, PMG George likes a bit of 69K, and guys, it's on the table. Okay, so weekly chart, again, like I've said before multiple times, everything under this region over here is bearish. Okay, so we bearish under this zone, and we're even going to mark that there. Okay, so we bearish under that region. And for me, even if we pump up, let's say they give us some massive break here. Now, I'm expecting a rejection 88, 89K. Okay, we know that. But if they push us higher, look at this. We can easily break into the old range, have a fake out into that old range, and then a mega rejection. So it's difficult for me personally to go fucking everything full clip long here, considering what we have in front of us and what the market has done in the past in terms of breakouts and fake outs and all these things. And Mia saying the market is hard as hell. And Ivan says he just got a new loan for undies. Guys, stock up on the undies. It's gonna get spicy. You know it's gonna get spicy. So in terms of resistance, guys, look at the 100-day moving average, for example, 91,500. Why can't we pump into that 100-day MA and reject in that zone? That is super bearish there for me as well. So we'll mark that one, 91.5. That is a big rejection zone there in that region to pay attention to. So stick your alarms on those levels. Remember, if you want some context and if you playing in the market here and you're getting chopped up, okay, and you're getting frustrated, and it happens to everybody, okay? Today I got really irritated with the market up, down. And if you're playing in that, zoom out. Remember, the context is always so important. Look where your big zones are. Go daily, go weekly, understand where you are, and then just slow it down. When things are choppy, foot off the gas a little bit, slow it down. And remember, you can always pick it up when there is momentum, okay? And Rob says he's sticking to some Brett spot. Look, Brett has been a proper Okay, I think a lot of it's squeezing and those types of things. And is it time for a quick reversal on Brett? So we've opened that short. I don't know where it is now in the last 20 minutes. We're going to have a look. And then we're going to go through that short in detail for you on Brett. Okay, so guys, BTC, you got the deal. And remember, all this stuff goes straight into Chart Hackers. All these charts go into Chart Hackers after the show. And you can pick that up there. And Chris made the next level of Bitfunded. Nice, bro. Good for you. Okay. Let's go. Let's talk altcoins. Now, Miles reminding us again, retail is actually gone. The post mentioning specific crypto are nearing August 23 levels. Fuck, that was a bearish time. Wow, that was bearish. But the best times to position are when the crowd is gone. And he's talking about a few other things. But in terms of buying and stuff like that, yes, it makes sense. When the crowd is not around, that is typically what you want to look at. And his chart here is showing us August 23 levels for crypto tokens. Okay, so retail has had enough. Okay, they annoyed. And if you are still here watching the show, doing your work, when they come back, they are going to be the exit liquidity. We're going to be selling to all of those guys. Okay, so if you're watching the show right now, you're learning how to trade, you're doing your homework. When retail comes back, you're going to have the edge and you're going to have a party. Okay, I can tell you that much. Whoever's watching this stuff now. And Rising Sun's talking Popcat. Yes, sir. I've got it for you locked and loaded. I've got an entry coming for you guys on Popcat. Okay, out of 27 tokens listed on Binance in 25, only 3 are in the green. Okay, no wonder retail is critting, says Miles. Look at that absolute shit show. Okay, no wonder. I mean, look at this. Bio 90% down. D, whatever D is, 73. AIXPT rinsed 80% down. Cookie 82. What else can we see here? Sonic 34%, not so bad. Trump token, well, fuck, I think we expected that, 78% down. And look, all round just filth, okay? Absolute filth all round. And no, really, they didn't really spare anybody there. And, oh, there's the Brett short cooking. Okay, well, that's a good start. Now, Bitcoin dominance, guys. Let's talk Bitcoin dominance. Why is this important to me? Remember, we watching this because we want to understand where we can buy our altcoins or where we need to take profits. If we're keeping our eyes on Bitcoin dominance, it tells us when things flow from Bitcoin to the altcoins, when the alts are getting favored or when Bitcoin is getting favored. So I've marked this clearly for you guys, and these are going to be the zones where you look for bounces on altcoins and you look for take profit zones on altcoins. So just follow this chart. Upside bounce zones for me on altcoins, 64% looks like it's coming in hot, and then 64.3%. These are the two zones where you want to type your alts on some kind of support, and then you're going to look for bounces. If this reverses and it starts ripping to the downside, where you're going to take profit on your alts, folks, watch this. 63.15%, 62.95%, 62.7%. Those are your typical take profit zones. When dominance moves downwards into those areas, you probably find the alts are pumping, pushing higher, and then you want to take profit where you suspect dominance could bounce, and then Bitcoin is going to get favored. Okay, so track this chart. It's a nice one to watch. We'll make sure this is in Chart Hackers for you guys as well. And then yesterday I covered multiple reasons why these altcoins were looking bullish, and the 3-day chart was an absolute banger on I'd say 80% of the altcoins that I track. The 3-day charts are printing bullish divergence. And I just want to remind you guys again, even the total 3, which is the entire market excluding Bitcoin and ETH, we're looking at essentially altcoins here. It's printed double bullish divergence now and a reversal. So the total 3 is also getting that same look to it. And really all we want to see essentially is these altcoins hold the lows, okay, at the absolute worst. So we just want our alts, whatever we are trading, to hold their lows. We'll call it a double bottom or whatever the hell it is at the time when it gets there. But we want to see these things print higher lows or hold the lows. And then this 3-day divergence should be playing out. And then we're looking for quite a big move on these altcoins. Now, you might find in this situation that Bitcoin prints new lows if it starts dropping really quickly. And you might find the alts actually print higher lows, and that is going to be a proper trigger for some kind of alt season run. And now the new version of alt season, James, is 5 days. Okay, 5-day pump. Okay, 4 days. Okay?
I remember. It was nice. It was the best 4 days of my life.
Okay. So remember, guys, this is important. Okay, when you hear this stuff, alt season, okay, remember it's different now to what it was in 21. It's just completely different. Okay, so when you get an alt run, okay, I mean, you saw this weekend we ran for 1.5 days and everyone was euphoric. Just imagine what the market can do in 5 days or 7 days. But remember, after 7 days, that's enough. Okay, based on history, they quite often roll you over after that period of time. So just make sure if things are ripping and going up, you're taking profits along the way. That's your job. Okay, that's what you need to do. And what was Zen saying there? What did she have to say? I'm okay with 5 days. Yes, exactly. Look, and hackers, we know how to make a 5-day season count. I mean, we're going to definitely maximize that. 𝗏𝗏 said she missed last week's of trading. Look, 𝗏𝗏, you basically missed Friday, Saturday. That was the banger. And now, 𝗏𝗏, fortunately, you're watching now. You're gonna get some entries from me today. So I think we're getting close to Link. I think we're getting close to 𝗬𝗰. I think we're getting close to 𝗬𝗏. Those types of things. I think it's coming. Okay, and we're around the corner here. And this alt season will give me nightmares since buy. Okay, guys, let's go. Let's cover ETH now. Very important. There's a massive position. Now, I don't know if this guy's retarded or, super smart. Maybe he knows something we don't know. Don't you like? He's opened a $6 million.
He's done well in the past, right? Those other ones, he made like $8 million in a day or two on each trade.
Okay. Look, he's gone big. Okay, $6 million on 5x leverage. Okay, that's $30 million long on ETH. Okay, he's underwater.
That's small for him, though. He's not confident because his last ones was like $200 million. This is nothing. He's testing the waters.
Rookie numbers.
Yeah. I think the other one he did was 47 million was the other one he did. So this is the smallest we've seen.
Okay. Well, this is then obviously what he's thinking about at the moment. This is clearly what he wants to do. It's time to get out the ETH bull. Okay. He's ready for the ETH bull. Let's get this ETH bull out, guys. Get it out. Oh, he's pumped. He's pumped. Here it comes. There she goes.
What a monster.
What an absolute monster. What a monster. Okay, so let's look at the ETH bulls, guys. We're going to go through ETH very quickly. What do we know? Bullish divergence on the 3-day tick. We know that's there. Upside targets. Where do you take profit? 1745, 1977. Whale, 30 million whale. Are you watching? Those are your TP zones, bro. Okay, I hope he's watching the show. Those are your TP zones. Where's your support? 1560, 1470. Okay, done with ETH. Okay, and guys, let's talk Solana. Is this still in the original plan? I mean, it's hard for me to stomach this because part of me just wants Sol to rip so badly. And we have seen these alts start performing, and Sol is actually showing a lot of relative strength at the moment versus a lot of other altcoins. So that means activity is coming back into the Sol ecosystem. It means the meme coins are getting revived again, and we're going to touch on that in a second as well. But in terms of the original plan, Sol on the weekly, we are pretty much here in the zone, and this is our 79 target. It's the 80 to 60 target, but anywhere in this zone, we'll start really nitpicking when we start heading in that direction if this is going to play out. And remember, I've said your possible deviation because there's a chance we're going to hold, say, this 115 level somewhere there and print that higher low and then start grinding higher. Okay, so just a reminder, the big levels on the weekly chart for me on Sol are 150 and anything between 170 and 180, and they are still bear zones. It's easy to be bearish in those areas as well. If this was a 15-minute chart, you'd look at this, you wouldn't even think twice. You'd be like, that is super bearish at those types of levels. So let's not get euphoric. GM to you, sir. And I see Jay is also in the house there. And Zolani says he wants Sol 141 or he cuts it off for real. So, well, you only get one crack at that, bro. There's only one chance. So make it your best one. Okay, remember, they actually sometimes listen when you do that. I promise you, it's effective sometimes, but sometimes only once. Okay, Sol on the 2-hour degen setup. Now, this is what I'm talking about in terms of Sol relative strength. Look how this thing has held up here. But for me, this is super indecision. I mean, I think some people will call this a diamond or something. I think some pattern traders will name this a diamond. Now, I don't know where these diamonds break up or break down, but absolutely to me, it looks like tons of indecision and tons of chop for high leverage traders trying to catch a move. So this is Chop City. And in terms of the oscillator, it's still telling me it wants to come down. So we've got bearish divergence, bearish divergence, bearish divergence, reversal prints all over the place, screaming at us on Sol, but it's holding up. Now, if you're saying to me, well, what does that mean? Well, guys, it's pretty weird. okay, that we've got so much divergence here on Sol and it's just hanging around? Is that because people are activating meme coins again? Are they getting involved? Are they loading up? Are they doing things? So for me, I'm obviously still heavily long on Sol and looking for this one to, obviously, ideally, to play out to the upside. And this 140, this 137, 138 zone, this is still our big resistance. And then our next one is this 147 area. That for me is still upside targets that I want to consider. But how do we get there? And there's a chance that this 2 hour is going to reverse before it even hits some of the levels I'm about to show you. So ideally, you want to just track these levels here to the downside. But big areas for me on Sol where that could reset: 126, 120. Look at these levels here. That is starting to make sense. Look at this VWAP coming in hot as well. We've got horizontal tie in there. So there's a lot talking to me for Sol. 126 and 120. Let's watch that area. I do suspect we're going to get that 2 hour reversal somewhere in that zone. So that is going to be your trigger there. And for me, that is going to be my add-on zone for Sol if we drop into that zone. Now, what is my next option if we don't hit those entry zones? Because that is a question I've been asking myself today. And we've been waiting, I think, this whole week since Sunday's show. We've been looking at things like Tau, Render, Link. We've been waiting for these entries to come to us, 382s, 618s, and they're slowly getting there. But what if they don't come? Now, that is the question I'm asking myself. And Sheba Max says, come on, Sol, pump it. Well, you know, that is where we're going to start positioning ourselves then to having to play breakouts. Now, I covered the Link idea yesterday on the show just to give you guys an idea on how to play these breakouts. But remember, the concept is basically like this. If we start breaking this horizontal, I'm going to start adding a little bit to my Sol position. So if we start pushing up through that level, I'm going to start adding a little bit. Then we most likely are going to get a rejection on Sol, probably at that VWAP around 140, 141. Then that is going to be the real test, guys. This is where the bulls are going to need to step in on that retest back into the zone. That is the proper test there. So if you're playing a breakout, you can buy a little bit on that breakout candle. You're going to put your stop under that breakout candle or look to close under the breakout candle to protect yourself. Once it rejects, you're going to look for those buys where you can add on what you'd hope is bullish support. That's really where the bulls need to step in. So the game plan on Sol, if it doesn't come to 126 or 120, you're looking for that push up. You want to break through 135, 136. You want to break that zone, and then you're looking to add on any buys around, I would say on this chart, around 134, 135 on that retest. Okay, so pump up, but you can buy a little bit on that breakout, then that retest is where you're going to look for some action there on Sol. Okay, so that's the breakout concept there for you guys, and you've got your levels to the downside. So still waiting for lower on Sol. Then Hype as well, finally doing something today, and we are I think we're finally going to get these zones. So a reminder of where we are on Hype. No changes from yesterday. 15, okay? Again, another choppy thing here on Hype. Just chop, 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 chop all day. 15 is where it's at. 14 is where it's at. 13 is where it's at. Those are the three levels on Hype. Now, I believe if the market stays bullish, this hyper liquid is actually going to be a very good buy because it is a DEX and they are going to be making money. So if this thing starts rolling over for us, those are the zones you're typically going to wait for your reversals. Now, specifically on Hype, I'm tracking this 4 hour at the moment, and you can see the 4 hour is starting to grind a little bit lower. Let's see where we are on the 2 as well. This will give us an idea as to when we could get our first initial bounce. And you can see the 2 has got some work to do still, and we are still looking for a little bit lower there. So Hype, just be patient, guys. And if you're still riding this position with me to the downside, these are pretty much the levels you're going to start taking off if this thing starts falling over. 15, 14, 13 is what you guys are going to be watching. Okay, so Hype, no changes there. And let's go XRP. James, this is for you, okay? And I see Panda says he's late. He's shorting everything. So, guys, Panda is one of our degen scalpers on our team there in Chart Hackers. And he actually dropped you must see what he's doing here. Okay, occasionally, you're going to see Panda in the chats. Now, he's a bit of a savage degen, okay? And he likes to scalp lower time frame things and stuff like that. And sometimes during the show, he spots a few opportunities. So you just want to watch in the chats. And Panda might drop a nugget there. Yesterday, he said, guys, it's time to short Alice. Who picked that up in the chats? Because I think that was an absolute banger. Shakespeare's pipe. Sir, the other day, I literally charted theta for you and you weren't here. And we actually spoke about you. So Shakespeare's Pipe, good to see you back, but I literally did it for you and I don't think you were here. Okay, let's go. XRP. Oh, by the way, Shakespeare's Pipe, theta was one of my buys last week when I told you guys I was getting long on some of these. Oh, theta was actually one of them, just looking at that chart. And Chamburn says, now I just got long. What did he say there? He says, now I just got long. Hopefully you don't get wrecked as been shorting. Has he gone long now? Okay, well, look, guys, entry's coming. We're going to see now. Let's talk XRP in honor of James. Okay, there's a couple of things happening here. This is XRP on the 4 hour that I'm tracking. And anybody surprised? Chop, 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 chop all day long while we wait for the tariffs. We wait for some news out of the market. So what does this mean when you see this type of business on these altcoins? It basically tells you shorts are piling up, longs are piling up, indecision everywhere, and basically meat for the market makers, okay? And they love these games, okay? And I see there's Panda in the chats, okay? No joke, right before joining. So, basically what these market makers like to do is they're going to grab liquidity either upside and then flush you down, or you're probably going to find they're going to come and grab that liquidity to the downside and then flush you back up to the upside. So when you get this tight consolidation, you need to be extra vigilant with your trades. You need to really pay attention to your liquidation or your liquidity zones and things like that. So just a breakdown of XRP. You can see we are under a major trend. Okay, now we know XRP can be a pumper. So what do we do? How do we play this thing? So in my dream scenario here, we get a sell-off before we get a pump. Okay, so that would mean for me a hard sell-off. Okay, just clean out all the late longs from the weekend, clean out all the late longs from yesterday and the day before. A nice move into, say, 2 down to even 1.95, somewhere there, and then this vicious pump through that area. So that is that's my first price scenario there on XRP. So if they send you down first, it's probably going to be a buy. Now, if they send you up first quite hard, it's possibly going to be a sell opportunity for you guys. So what you need to pay attention to on XRP is your big resistance zone, 2.2 to about 2.23. That region over there is a 618 50-day trend quantum reactor, horizontal wick fill. This is a massive zone, guys. This is a big area, and I bet you we've got some order blocks. Look at that, order blocks as well. So that tells me that's a war zone. Okay, so if you pump through this zone, there's a very good chance that's a fake out in that area, and they sell this thing. Okay, so look out there, 2.25 to 2.27. If they pump it through there, if you degen enough, that could be a short opportunity for you. And then longs for me, guys, 2 to 1.95. That is the long zone. Okay, that is how I'm viewing it at the moment. Now, just to have one more secondary option here for you guys, if you do get this breakout, okay, bang, and it rejects, what you can do as a bull is sniff around on that bullish retest. That is going to be your safest way to see if this breakout is real or not. So you're going to look at around 2.2, somewhere in that area on that retest for XRP. That can help you, and just test that breakout, because if the breakout is real, then 2.2 is going to be good support for you, and then you're going to chase some really big targets. Okay, so we'll deal with that later, but 2.5, for example, that's 20% up from there, and it could be a nice target. So you know what the strategy is now. You want those bulls to step in on that pullback. Okay, look out for the rejection, and then if you're going to test it, it's that retest there on that. Chinkatron's back in the house, and hello sir. He hasn't been here in years. Where's he been? Where's he been hiding? He was always in the chat, sir. Okay, guys, if you're wondering, all this TA that I'm doing, if you guys want to understand a little bit more, maybe you're watching the show and you're not quite grasping what I'm talking about, and maybe I'm talking too fast for you guys, but what you can do very simply is do my accelerator course, and I've got my workshop coming up in 5 days. That is on Monday. I'm doing my workshop. It's workshop 1 in the accelerator course, and basically what you're going to do is you're going to learn about all the things that I use in under 10 days in very simple, short, concise videos for you guys, and I'm going to tie it in with all these indicators that I use. It's going to make sense to you guys. You're going to be leverage trading in no time, and if you're already a trader, well, you're probably going to have some enhanced strategies when you're done with this. Okay, and obviously you're going to join hackers, and then you'll understand the real power of what is going on there. Okay, let's go. Let's get into meme coins, guys. Meme coins are the only clear winners in the past 30 days. What did I say And I mean, James wasn't having it. Hey, James was too bearish on the meme coins. Hey? And I was saying, we got to buy these things. Okay. When you move into these big levels and things like that, nobody's watching these coins. Everybody's hating life. You know, they move into these interesting zones, and we cannot give up on memes because we know the degens out there are going to come and pump these memes. We know they're going to recover the best. They fell over the worst. They generally recover the best. So they are 41% up, okay, while nearly every other category has dropped, okay, in the past 30 days. So memes are doing well again. Congratulations. And here is Brett. So I've had an absolute cracker of a Brett long, okay, and it's in case we stay bullish, I've just been adding to this thing, okay. I don't want to close this thing, but in between, when you get these pumps, there are opportunities for reversals. There's often opportunities for scalps to the downside and things like that. And in terms of Brett, just want to point out 4-hour and 2-hour chart, bearish divergence. Okay, when you see bearish divergence playing out at resistance zones, okay, that is typically where you get an opportunity. So it's the same with bullish divergence on a support zone. You're looking for longs. Bearish divergence at a big resistance zone, you typically are looking for short. So you can see that is the reasoning behind why I gave chart hackers a Brett short earlier today. And, you know, these alts have obviously been super strong. They've been super choppy in these areas. So the size of the moves we're getting at the moment aren't very big, okay? But in terms of reactions in these zones, this stuff is starting to look very interesting. So if anybody here is interested in trading Brett as a short opportunity, that entry has now bolted a little bit, okay? So if you get another pump in the market, for me, it's anything from, say, call it 375 to about 3.9. Okay, so if you get 375 to about 3.9, that is probably going to further enhance this divergence that you are seeing down there, and it's probably going to add a second or third divergence print over there on Brett, and it might actually just enhance the strength of that divergence. Okay, so watching that zone there on Brett for the rejection. If this zone fails, always have your backup plan. Okay, so you can choose as a trader how you manage your risk, how much leverage you use, the margin you're putting in, all these types of things. If you want to be a very relaxed trader, you're trading very low leverage or very small positions, and you're allowing your stops time to breathe. You don't want to be in a situation where you get stopped all the time because it can be stressful. So if that is your strategy, well, you can look at the bearish divergence on the 4 and 2 hour and say there's a good probability that Brett is going to reject somewhere in that entire region. There's 10% leeway over there. If you're a degen trader, well, you got to be selective. So look for short areas where you take on about 3% risk. So that region could be about 3% risk for you for a possible short. And then if it does break through that zone, your next area could be about 3% risk for you on that zone. Okay. And then in terms of TP and taking profits, well, things have been choppy. So if your trade turns nice and green, you know, nothing wrong with raising your stop or lowering your stop to entry and clipping off some profits if that is the way you are inclined. So don't feel like that you have to ride the full move every single time. If you see a nice profit, take it. Okay. And let's see what Rob's saying. He's like, it's like buying XRP at 20p. What is he talking about? Is he talking about Brett here? What's he talking about? Brett has a lot of upside, my new XRP gamble. Look, I think Brett does have a lot of upside, guys, like genuinely. But at some point, it is going to breathe. So these are the zones I'm watching now. And I've locked in this Brett short here on L-Bank. You can see there it is. It's starting to run. We've got, there's the gold short as well. We've got a little bit of action. Jasmine still short from DJ Dave as well. That's a nice one. And Rare was an entry. Who gave us this Rare entry? Jane, was it? It was Dave. I think it was the guy's been talking about it. Okay, so yeah, a couple of trades going on here, and let's see if this Brett is going to play out. So give it a bit of time. Now let's talk about other altcoins. Okay, and this one's interesting. A whale is selling 6.2 million Fartcoin and 10 million Popcat via a DCA strategy. Well, I don't blame him specifically on both of these because they have obviously pumped really hard. So let's start with Popcat, and you can see this is Popcat on the 4 hour. This divergence is playing out. Now this is super interesting to me, guys. This is really actually interesting, and this is what gives me some bullish tendencies on this one. Look how close this 4 hour is to reversing already, and look how little Popcat has moved, okay, in terms of that shift. Now, normally, under normal conditions, what you would see is this move would generally generate a substantial move to the downside, even possibly a 618, okay, down there. and we haven't seen that just yet. So that has given me slightly more bullish tendencies on this Popcat. So in terms of an entry, guys, what I want you to pay attention to, 225 is starting to look like a reality to me, and 205. I don't think, based on that 4 hour, I suspect we get a big bounce on that 4 hour before, if there is going to be some more downside. So what you're looking for is 4 hour to reset, which is around the corner. It looks like by tomorrow, we're going to have an answer here on Popcat. We're going to look for that divergence. But for me, it's either going to be there or we're going to print that bullish divergence somewhere there at 204. And then we're going to get a proper pump there on Popcat. So watching this closely, 203 is your 50-day MA. 198 is your, and 216 is your VWAP from the lows. So quite a nice area here in terms of reactions and supports and things like that. So watching this one closely on Popcat, I do think Popcat is going to be a pumper if the market stays bullish. And then there's going to be some big targets to the upside. If you've just experienced one move on Brett and Popcat, well, you ain't seen nothing yet. Okay, there's a lot more coming on these guys, and you're going to see James is going to turn super bullish, because I know he's back trading those meme coins. He's very happy with the Brett performance, some of the others, and that smile is going to come back. It's going to come back hard. So there are going to be some big moves, guys. Just to give you a guide, if you do bounce on Popcat at 0.2, there's probably another 85%. Potentially to the upside there. Okay, so that's an interesting one for me. Then let's talk Fartcoin. So we can see this guy's been DCAing out of Fartcoin. Is it big enough to do this? I don't know. There's so much volume there on Fartcoin, but if we look at this thing from Friday, basically, it's been one of the underperformers. If you look at what pumped this weekend, Fartcoin actually pumped before the weekend, and now it's been chopping around. So, it's not the best. It's not the best looking setup for me right now, and it feels like we have to wait a little bit lower. So, I mean, there's going to be argument here, inverse head and shoulders. There's going to be arguments here, double top. It's it's like, for me, it's so choppy here right now. So, what I would love to see on Fartcoin in terms of a setup, I've taken my fibs from the low, okay, from that inverse head and shoulders down there when we got the big move, and ideally perfect world, guys, 67. Okay, that really makes sense to me. 100-day moving average, we'll get our VWAP in there as well. So 67 making sense to me. We've printed divergence again on the 4 hour. Look at that, it's printed again. So we're looking for this kind of reversal on this 4 hour, and then possibly some kind of bounce. So if you want to be a degen and trade these types of things, maybe you can speak to our scalpers there in Chart Hackers. Maybe they can give you some kind of degen entry there on Fartcoin. But what I'm looking for personally, guys, 67 makes sense to me. Maybe 74. Okay, but you can see this chart here. These are the big zones that we want to pay attention to. Those are the areas for me that I think are going to deliver the best move on Fartcoin. So guys, there's the Fartcoin situation. Okay, and now let's talk things like this quickly. Okay, now there's two ways you can adjust or adapt your attitude to some of these things in crypto. Number one, you can be like the guy on the left and say it's all a scam, okay, and be sad about it. Or you could be like the guy on the right and say it's all a scam, but knowing that these guys are trying to scam or whatever the story is and taking advantage of the situation. Okay, so this is obviously not a great example or a nice, what do we call this? A mascot for crypto. I don't think this is a fair mascot for crypto at the moment, but if we understand the games involved and the intricacies in between, okay, we'll know that there are potentially trades available for these types of things. And I know FJ, for example, in Hackers, has been trading OM all day, like a bit of a savage, okay? And we're just waiting for this thing to start settling, and then there will be a couple of trades. So the thing is, if this OM, okay, this whole story and whatever is eventually going to come out, or it's eventually going to die down, and OM is either going to carry on fundamentally as a product or a project, and then it's going to grind higher, inevitably. If that happens, there's obviously going to be some big trades here on OM. Okay, you can see this candle. Okay, this is going to be decisively dealt with at some point. So we can trade it like a new meme, says Yumi, and we can do whatever we want. So we're going to keep our eyes on this thing. We can see there is interest now at these types of levels. They are starting to buy this thing up. So we know we finally have some kind of support marker on this OM. And we're going to see if we can sort you guys out with some kind of trade here and maybe just get this bounce back play, because I think there is a possibility that this thing, if it does sort its shit out, there's probably about a 400% coming back. Okay, and yes, Tinkatron, it does look incredibly menacing. Okay, so we're going to break it down properly for you guys. Just give it a couple more days, let it settle, and then we're gonna start seeing if we can trade this thing a little bit back up. Okay, so just be patient, guys. It is coming. And then another one today. This is why that meme caught my attention. Root25 says, in the span of 7 hours, IP, which is story, first had a 25% move down from 4 to 3, then a bounce back from 3 to 4. This is not a pump fund shit coin, but it's a 4 billion FTV coin. Okay, what is going on? Sometimes quite hard to take this industry seriously, he says. Okay, so let's look at this thing and look at that wick. So again, dealing with leverage, okay? Liquidation. Dealing with leverage here, and you can see the wick on this thing. So once again, a reminder, and you probably, the reason why you don't see me trading these types of things that often is because of this type of behavior, these types of wicks and things. And I like to trade 𝗬𝗰 and Solana and those types of things, and you kind of know what they're going to give you. Okay, this is quite intense what we're looking at the moment. So in terms of story, you can see it did hold, it did front run our first big support. Okay, basically what you see happen here is these wicks tend to get visited again. Okay, so you know, if you are long from this thing, I wouldn't hang on too hard. Okay, I would say, you know, you probably come back down to 3, take another look at that one. And then in terms of upside moves for story, if you are sitting in this thing now, if you are trading this, I've just got a little plan for you. Here's a degen upside plan for you guys. If you do pop this 4.3, you can see 4.3 is a big resistance zone. If you do pop that, you're probably going to reject 4.7, and then you're going to look for those bull buys on any pullbacks. Okay, so if you're looking for a fresh trade, this is at resistance. It's a no-go zone. If it pops through, then you start looking for something there, some kind of action on that thing. But I think it's pretty possible or plausible that this thing comes back here first and then gives you some kind of bounce. So for me, staying away. Okay, no, nothing to touch here. And Yumi says everything is a meme coin at the moment. I concur. Okay, let's go. 𝗏. Is it time for 𝗏? Now, this thing we've been waiting patiently for this thing to roll over. Guys, yeah, it's going to come down to market news. It's going to come down to some kind of tweet or whatever again on the tariffs and stuff like that. But I think we are getting super close on this guy to some kind of reversal. So we saw today that we printed bullish divergence on the 2-hour, but we don't quite have our reversal on the 4-hour. But what we can see coming now, if you look at this on 𝗏, as long as if we lose the current level that we're on, you're probably going to see a higher low print again on this oscillator. Okay, so we're going to look for that. We're going to look for that higher low on the oscillator, and we're going to look for this dip on 𝗏 into 226 or 215. That is going to give you your third bullish divergence print on the 2-hour. By then, it's going to give you a bullish divergence print or a reversal print, I expect, on the 4-hour chart as well. And that could be time to start looking to get back into some longs here on this 𝗏. So waiting patiently here, we are nearly in that zone. Okay, so 226, 215, starting to look interesting. I've got VWAP here, 382, horizontals, a lot happening in that zone. Okay, so watch that area closely. Let's see if we get a bounce on that guy. Then AVAX, yeah, also same story, guys. Hardly any dips to the downside yet on these altcoins. Normally or traditionally in the last few months, we would have seen much bigger moves to the downside. The alts are holding up relatively well. Let's look at the 4-hour on AVAX. Also, almost there, pushing down now. So by tomorrow, I think this 4-hour is going to resolve itself. And then we're going to see where we're going to get these entries. So I think entries probably around tomorrow on the 4-hour starting to make sense. And AVAX right now, to me, watching 18.7 down to 17.8. Keep your eyes on that zone for now. Also interesting here, it is trying to hold that bullish 236 fib, but you guys know I don't love that 236. It's not my best. But we do have a 50-day MA there as well at 19.6. So you can mark it down as a reaction zone or a bounce zone, but higher conviction for me, 18.57 down to 17.8. That's the higher conviction zone for me in terms of an AVAX bounce. And then I've got link for you guys and 𝗬𝗰. And 𝗬𝗰's in our first zone from yesterday. I've added to my 𝗬𝗰 position, and it's on the zone. Okay, so I'm underwater now on 𝗬𝗰. That thing is putting me under pressure. I have bought some more, and then lower down at 1.98 and 2.06. These are the next zones where we're looking for some more 𝗬𝗰 action. You can see that 2 hours not quite done, okay, and still might have a little bit of more pain there for us. So 2.15, 2.06, 1.98. Those are the bangers there for 𝗬𝗰. And so far, this one is listening. Okay, this one is playing the game, and it's reacting in our first reaction zone. Then link for me, guys, we are nearly there. We're nearly in the long zone. So I'm going to be adding to my link position at 2.05, just waiting for this. You can see our 4 hour is nearly there. Okay, so waiting for that zone drop. Obviously, the strategy here for link is, get some kind of push into that zone and then a nice big reversal. If we lose that 12 level, 12.05, your backup plan, your backup zone is 11.67. is what you're going to be watching. So backup zone 11.67 for me on link, and hopefully we don't go lower than that. But in terms of that 4 hour, 2 hour, we are nearly there on those guys. Okay, guys, that's it. I'm hoarse from talking so much. Okay, entries are nearly there. Breakout plan, you understand what to do. I hope you understand what to do. We're going to look for those breakouts. If it does run ahead of us or front run, you know how to do it. Go watch that clip again. I did explain how to get through a breakout trade. Okay, James, thank you, sir. Back tomorrow, same time, same place. Good luck out there. Choppy. At some point, it's not. Big move down, big move up is coming. Lots of excitement, at least around the corner. See you guys tomorrow.